Lin Key's mother answered the phone. He immediately asked, "The package has arrived, but how did you send it?" "You put it inside the teddy bear," she replied in confusion. "Ha! I was supposed to find a courier company and just tell them to do it. Later, Mom, send me the information about that courier company and your receipt too. Take a picture of everything and send it to me." Lin Key handed the phone to the staff to check. "This is the express delivery receipt. The sender didn't write that it's a teddy bear." The staff, still unconvinced, questioned, "Do you think saying that will make us believe you?" Lin Key explained, trying to make him understand. "I understand how you feel right now, but no matter what I say, I am a person of authority. Millions of dollars mean nothing to me. What does this matter?" The two employees looked skeptical. The male employee sneered. "Millions of dollars are nothing? Do you think our company believes that? Is there anyone with status who would personally pick up an express delivery? Do you think we are fools?" Seeing that they refused to believe him, Lin Key suggested, "Can I call your supervisor? Perhaps he has heard my name before. I am the chairman of Lang Yun Corporation." Upon hearing Lang Yun Corporation, two employees exclaimed in surprise, "Lang Yun Corporation? Ha!" Lin Key just wanted to meet the supervisor to resolve this quickly. Since it's come to this, explaining further is pointless. "Can you call the supervisor here? He will know who I am." The male employee reacted with disbelief. "Haha, do you think you are someone important? You still want to see our supervisor?" He raised his voice further. "Those necklaces at least close to $1 million. You are suspected of smuggling." Nearby, the female staff member pulled him back and whispered, "Mr. Ma, it seems he isn't worried at all. He doesn't seem like the same person we met last time." He turned to the girl and scolded, "Are you sick of being infatuated with guys again? Do you still think he's wronged? No way." A middle-aged man with gray hair walked in. The staff member named Ma immediately clarified, "Captain Su, you're here. You probably have a general understanding of the situation now, right? I'll take the person away first." He added, "I interrogated him a bit, and he's indeed a frequent offender. He talks all nonsense and even claims to be a public figure, the chairman of Lang Yun Corporation. These illegal people nowadays dare to say anything." Upon seeing Lin Key, the captain was startled and shouted at the man, "He's Lin's CEO, the chairman of Lang Yun Corporation. Let him go, I will fire you right now." At this point, his attitude changed 360 degrees and he smiled respectfully at Lin Key. "See, this whole thing is a misunderstanding, Boss Lin. I'm really sorry. I truly didn't expect this to happen." Lin Key didn't mind this small matter and said goodbye. "There's no need to apologize. Everyone is following the procedure. The issue is on my end." They drove aside and watched Lin Key leave and said, "Mr. Ma, do you see I was right? I told you he's innocent. With looks like that, how could he do something illegal?" The man named Ma also smiled awkwardly and replied, "Right, haha. Good looks always have their perks." Upon arriving at Ms. Lang's office, Lin Key greeted her. "Why are you here? Did you come to report to Secretary Lang?" Seeing her expression, he asked further, "I can tell you have some good news. What is it?" "A gift for Secretary Liang." He hurriedly presented a small, beautiful gift box and said, "Open the gift box." Inside was a seemingly expensive necklace. She immediately raised her voice. "Are you trying to deceive me with these tricks again? I'm not interested in these things. If you don't like it, I can return it to my mother," Lin Key said. Hearing this, Secretary Liang looked surprised and asked back, "What you mean? Return it. Who should it be returned to?" Lin Key replied, "To my mother." Expert Liang then asked a few more questions. "Ms. Wang is at the orphanage. How could she buy you this?" Lin Key playfully flicked Expert Liang's cheek. "I don't just have one mother." She looked puzzled. "Not just one. Are you talking about on kin? Did she buy this for you?" Lin Key teased while speaking. "Of course, but it seemed you don't like it much. You should just return it to her. Hurry up and give it here." He handed the necklace to her. Lin Key then remembered to ask, "Did you come here today because of this necklace? By the way, how's the situation in Dong County?" Expert Liang explained, "Because you got involved, it's turned into a hotspot. Many factories are relocating there, so you've actually done a good deed. It won't be long before the poverty alleviation goal can be achieved." The phone rang and Lin Key answered it. On the other end of the line, someone was panicking. "CDO Lin, the goods transported from Beijing have encountered issues at the North Mai Channel. They won't let us use the sea route, and we have to wait until the dry season in April to get permission to proceed." Lin Key's expression was somewhat displeased. "Stay at the company. I'm heading there right away." At that moment, Secretary Liang looked toward Lin Key and asked, "What's going on?" Holding the phone, he said, "The wood transported from Beijing has been blocked, and we have to wait until the water level rises to get through. I need to return to the company to see what's going on." Half an hour later, Lin Key spoke up. "What's the situation? Is there any progress?" Kai Xianzhao, while still on the phone, said, I've offered to pay an additional 30% operation fee, but they still won't let it pass. Moreover, they mentioned that the goods on our ship might have issues. We might have to unload the cargo for inspection. Their attitude suggests they don't want to let us through. Lin Key pondered for a moment and said, This is a serious issue. It might not be simple. At this moment, Kai Xianzhao suggested, Boss Lin, I plan to go there in person to meet them face to face and negotiate. We need to find the root of the problem to resolve it. He then said, That's fine, go there and see what's happening. Let me know promptly if anything arises. Kai Xianzhao replied, Understood, Boss Lin. At that moment, a call came in from Aunt Shen. Lin Key immediately answered the phone and said, The wood ship from Beijing got stuck at the Bolena Canal. Internal analysis suggests it is not our fault. It may be related. On the other end, Aunt Shen reassured him, Don't worry, I'll find someone to investigate this matter. It might be resolved soon. Lin Key's voice echoed from the other end, and he happily said, Thank you, Aunt Shen. He exhaled and said, It's all sorted now. Let's go find Li Kuan to handle the decoration. 30 minutes later, Li Kuan stepped out of the hospital. At that moment, Lin Key was standing next to a sports car, waving to her. Li Kuan was surprised. You've come. She quickly approached him and said, Why did you call me before you come? What if I'm not here? Lin Key explained. I checked the appointment schedule on WeChat and came over. Well, why did you come out so early? You must not be off work yet, right? At that moment, she leaned into Lin Key's arms and said, There isn't much work at the hospital. I took leave to see the decoration company. Then Lin Key handed her the car keys and said, You drive, I'll go with you. Li Kuan looked at the car, feeling confused. I've never driven a supercar before. I'm afraid if I don't drive well, I'll damage yours. Lin Key reached out and stroked her small chin. If it gets damaged, I'll have someone pay for it. Then he took out a yellow gift box and handed it to her, asking, Do you like it? She took the box and asked, A necklace? She opened the box, and indeed, inside was a necklace. She said, I like whatever you give me, but this one is a bit too expensive. Lin Key replied, I can buy it. A few days ago, when I went to Dubai, I met my mother there, and she chose this necklace for you. Li Kuan looked at him in shock. What? Your mom gave this to me. Then he picked up the necklace and said, Let me put it on for you. Then he gently placed the necklace around her neck. She leaned close to Lin Key, kissed his cheek softly, and whispered, Thank you and your mom. In a design office, Lin Key and Li Kuan walked in hand. The receptionist saw them and warmly greeted, Welcome, esteemed guests. Are you looking for any decorations? Please follow me. I don't know what style you prefer, but I can recommend designs based on your tastes. Lin Key spoke up. Find the best designer you have. Mediocre talent is not needed. After that, she brought 2 cups of tea to the table and said, You two drink tea first. I will invite the designer right away. A moment later, she returned with a young man in a blue suit. She gestured towards the young man and said, Hello, let me introduce, this is our design director, Tai Yongsing. You can simply explain your requirements. At this time, Li Kuan said, I don't have any special requirements, just need it to be modern and simple, but the design office should be a bit more convenient. Tai Yongsing immediately said, That's not a problem. What is your budget? Li Kuan replied, About $10,000. Tai Yongsing repeated, $10,000? Then a thoughtful expression appeared on his face. Tai Yongsing spoke up, Is this really the only budget you have? Can't you add a little more? Li Kuan smiled and said, Because I live alone, just simple will do. I don't want to spend too much money. He immediately stood up and said, Then I'm sorry, I have other matters to attend to. Let me help you contact another designer. He turned back and reproached the girl behind him. Xiao-san, what is this? Every customer ends up at my place. Do you think I have so much free time? Xiao-san stammered, I'm sorry, Boss Tai. Lin Key stood up and said, Let's go, there is another place nearby. Let's take a look. Li Kuan immediately agreed. All right. At this moment, a man walked towards Lin Key and said, Boss Lin, why are you leaving? Lin Key asked curiously, Who are you? The man immediately introduced himself. I am Ma Changjun, the general manager here. Director Wang called me earlier and mentioned that you came to see the decoration. How come you're leaving so soon? Our company's design director just won a major design award in the United States. His level is definitely very high. Then Ma Changjun waved in the direction of Tai Yongsing and said, Yongsing, come here for a moment. Lin Key quickly interjected. No need to call him. This person is asking for too high a price. We can't afford to hire him. Let's go prepare to see other places. Excuse us for leaving first. Ma Changjun said in confusion. Why is that? He then turned to Tai Yongsing and asked, What's going on? Tai Yongsing scratched his head and said, You know, I usually take jobs with a budget over $100,000, but their budget is only $10,000, so Ma Changjun slapped him and angrily said, "You really messed things up. He's the chairman of the largest group in Shanghai, Langyun Corporation, worth thousands of billion dollars. You've lost a major client. This will definitely leave a bad impression." At this point, Lin Key had already moved on to another design place. The receptionist politely said, "Boss Lin, welcome to both honored guests." At a large mansion, a staff member spoke up, "Master, everything has been arranged. Their cargo ship has been intercepted and we have sent someone to negotiate, but Lin Key has not yet appeared." He replied, "Continue to drag it out. When Lin Key arrives, we will take action. We should not rush." The staff member bowed and said, "Understood." At this moment, Wang Guan's father spoke up, "Mr. Chen, when do you think it would be appropriate for them to arrange this?" Chen Sofeng set down the teacup in his hand and said, "We could start preparing now." Wang Guan, sitting in a wheelchair, said angrily, "We have finally waited for this day. We absolutely cannot let him return alive." At this time, Chen Sofeng stroked his beard and said, "We have planned for so long. Lin Key cannot be allowed to survive, but I am still worried about Lin Key's support." Wang Guan then said, "His support is quite clear. One is Lu Ben Chen. The other is the Liang family. This is his arrogant backing." Chen Sufeng continued, "Through various sources, I learned that Lin Key's mother is very likely Qin Yan Yu, who left Yanjing back then." Upon hearing this, Wang Guan's father exclaimed in shock, "What?" He then continued, "If his mother truly is Qin Yan Yu, then his father must be Lin Jingjian." Hearing this, Wang Guan spoke up and asked, "Father, who is Lin Jingjian? Is he very powerful?" He replied, "He is an extraordinary person. Years ago in Yanjing, he was very prominent. If it weren't for being too young and impulsive, causing a great disaster, he might have been sitting in Lu Ben Chen's position by now." A figure appeared in Wang Guan's mind. He exclaimed in surprise, "What?" At this moment, Chen Sufeng took a sip of tea and said, "But after that incident, Lin Jingjian disappeared without a trace. It is also unclear whether he has been in contact with Lin Key. In a few days, we'll hide the BS ore in their cargo ship and leak the information to the foreign organization." His face was sinister. "At that time, he will become everyone's target. No one will be able to save him." Wang Guan suggested, "If conditions permit, we can bring Quan Ji back to monitor the situation abroad. If there are any mistakes, we can also execute a covert operation to ensure the plan goes smoothly." Hearing this, Wang Guan's father immediately reminded him, "We must contact him right away. This matter must not have any mistakes." At this point, his face became vicious. Lin Key must die. Then he slammed his hand down on the table. At Lin Key's company, he was now entering the room. Lin Key approached Xiang Xianzhao, who was sitting, and inquired, "Still not resting?" Kai Xianzhao replied, "After getting off the plane, I came straight to the company. Over there, I tried to contact the leaders in Beijing for a face-to-face meeting, but they did not agree." Lin Key then said, "Have you looked at the cargo ship yet?" Kai Xianzhao rubbed his temples and replied, "I've seen it. I also brought along some experienced sailors. The chances of us running aground are very low." At this moment, Kai Xianzhao suddenly thought of something and said, "There must be someone behind this." Lin Key turned and walked away, instructing Kai Xianzhao, "Do your best with this. Always keep in touch over there. Take care of your health." Kai Xianzhao immediately responded, "Got it." Lin Key said to himself, "If I can't have a joyful new year, you won't have peace either." At this moment, Zhao Qi's voice rang out, "Teacher Lin, please have a seat." Lin Key sat down and said, "I mentioned before about arranging for people to intern in Dong County. The time is near and it should be scheduled." Zhao Qi reassured him, "Don't worry, Teacher Lin, I've already informed the lower levels. However, there's one thing I need to clarify with you. The internship can only last for a maximum of 1 year. Ultimately, we won't be able to retain them. After all, it's an outer city county." Lin Key held the cup of water in his hand and said, "I understand that. You just need to help me arrange the internship well. The stipend is $3,000 a month, and the rest is up to fate." Zhao Qi said happily, "Teacher Lin, you are always so generous. To be honest, the interns at Shanghai don't get such a high salary." Lin Key replied, "That's why I must start well and be a conscientious capitalist." Zhao Qi suggested, "I feel that this is not right. In the end, you won't be able to retain people, which is equivalent to wasting money. To address the educational issues in Dongbai County, benefits must be offered. Essentially, everyone needs to live, so the chances of students staying will be higher." Lin Key thought for a moment and then said, "You reminded me that teachers must have job security, right?" Zhao Qi laughed and said, "It's really easy to understand when talking to Teacher Lin." Immediately, Everyone is an ordinary person. Until the issues of food and clothing are resolved, talking about ideals and contributions is nonsense. Once the fundamental issues are addressed, other aspects will be much easier. Lin Key spoke up. This is indeed a good suggestion. I will implement this soon. Style Key immediately responded. Okay, let's decide on that. After that, he opened the door and stepped out of the room. Seeing him, Suji walked over and said, "Why are you here?" Lin Key replied, "I was looking for Principal Zhao regarding something. I just finished talking and I am about to find you to eat." Soji softly said, "Then wait for me for a moment downstairs. I'll give this to Principal Zhao and then we can go eat. You can choose what to eat. Today, I'll arrange it." Lin Key teased, "Why are you so happy?" Soji shyly replied, "I'm about to get a promotion. I'm in a good mood today. You can choose the place." At the BBQ restaurant, Lin Key asked, "You just said you're getting a promotion. Where will you be transferred?" Soji answered, "To the administration department. It's not bad." At that moment, Zhang Tianshu, the head of the publicity department, and her boyfriend approached. Zhang Tianshu said with a smile, "Oh, Miss Su, you're here too? Is this your boyfriend?" Suji picked up a piece of meat and put it in Lin Key's mouth, then responded, "My boyfriend came to pick me up after work. We're going to look at cars later." Zhang Tianshu mocked, "What a coincidence. I'm also going to look at cars with my boyfriend later. But I really admire you, Miss So. With so much work lately, if it were me, I wouldn't even have the mood to eat, let alone buy a car." Suji calmly said, "People feel uplifted when good things happen. I'm getting a promotion, so I'm changing my car as a reward for myself." Then Zhang Tianshu and her boyfriend turned and walked away. She looked back, smiled, and said, "Ha ha, then I should congratulate you, Miss Su." Lin Key glanced in the direction of Zhang Tianshu and asked, "Is she also a student at the school?" Suji replied, "Public Relations Department. This time, your competitor is her." Lin Key said, "This is really asking for trouble. I've already been promoted, and she still dares to come here so arrogantly." Immediately, Lin Key stood up and said, "Let's go. Since we talked about it, we'll go check out cars this afternoon." At Galaxy, a group of people were admiring the luxury cars. Lin Key looked at Sunji and asked, "Do you want to buy an imported car or a domestic one?" Sunji softly replied, "Anything is fine. The budget is around $60,000. Please help me choose." Then she pointed to a car and said, "This one looks quite nice. It seems to be an electric car as well. It will save us quite a lot on gas." At that moment, Zhang Tianshu appeared behind the two, mocking. Miss Su is looking at this new energy vehicle. This new energy car is quite good. It saves gas for commuting. It's quite suitable for someone like you in the working class. Then she turned to her boyfriend and said, "It's suitable for the working class, not for us." Soji grabbed Lin Key's arm, pulling him away while feeling uncomfortable, and said, "Ha." Zhang Tianshu's boyfriend said, "My dear, she's already pathetic enough. Don't intentionally provoke her anymore. Dad has already taken care of everything for you. That deputy manager position is yours. There's no need to compete with her so much." Zhang Tianshu's voice was still angry. "How can that be? This has been noisy for a month now. It's just her competing with me, making my dad spend a lot of effort. I need to vent this anger and make her furious in front of me." Zhang Tianshu's boyfriend said, "All right, then I won't intervene anymore. Apart from standing behind to support you, there's nothing else I can do. Let's go over there and see. No matter what car she buys, you must buy a better one than hers." She spoke in a sulky tone. "Thank you, my love. Let's go see, or she might leave soon." At Area B, Lin Key pointed to a car and said, "My budget is $60,000. I can only choose the Q5. Let's go with this one." Soji immediately agreed. "Okay, then let's get this one. I heard the prices at car exhibitions can be negotiated. I'll find a salesperson to talk to." At this moment, Chang Tianshu and her boyfriend approached to mockingly say, "Miss Su, you're quite naive. The price at car exhibitions is usually the lowest and it can't be lowered further. Furthermore, this car isn't very expensive, so there's no need to negotiate like that. It's embarrassing." Soji responded, "My money is earned by me, so I need to save it, unlike you." Zhang Tianshu seemed to hit the mark, her voice loud as she pointed at Suji and said, "What do you mean? Are you saying I'm relying on the rich? Ha ha ha. At least I have someone to rely on. Your boyfriend doesn't show any signs of wealth. He must be a broke loser." Lin Key stood by, speechless. Then Suji ignored Zhang Tianshu and approached the sales attendant, saying, "Hello, what is the highest price for this model?" The staff replied, "Yes, the price after discount for the Q7 is $84,000. Surprised by the amount, Suji asked, $84,000? Standing to the side, Zhang Tianshu scoffed. "What's wrong, Miss Su? Why are you hesitating? Is the money in your hands not enough? If you're short on cash, you can tell me. I'll lend you some. Lin Key spoke up. No need to borrow money. I don't think this car is anything special, so don't buy it. Let's check over there. Jiang Tianshu angrily retorted. If you can't buy it, just say you can't. You're bad-mouthing the brand in front of the sales staff. Aren't you afraid of getting punched? Lin Key looked toward Jiang Tianshu and replied, I'm not saying this brand is bad. I just don't want to buy this one. The scene shifts to a black RS Q8. Lin Key points to the car and says, how much is the top-of-the-line RS Q8? The female staff member quickly replies, the price of the top-of-the-line RS Q8 is $150,000. Jiang Tianshu stands behind, loudly shouting, are you planning to buy an RS Q8? Do you have enough money? Lin Key turns back to look at her and asks, do you have a problem with that? Jiang Tianshu glances at her boyfriend behind her and responds, isn't it just a Q8? We can buy it too. Lin Key wags her finger and says, no. You heard wrong. I'm not buying a regular Q8. I'm buying an RS Q8. The prices of these two models are different. Jiang Tianshu speaks up. How are they different? What could the price difference be? Hearing this, the staff member interjects, excuse me, the price at the top of the line RS Q8 is $200,000 with no discounts. Jiang Tianshu pales, shocked. What did you say? $200,000? Lin Key asks, do you want to buy one? She hesitates. Then she quickly regains her composure and says, we can afford this car, but we don't want a heavy financial burden, so buying a Key 7 is enough. As for you, trying to look rich, the monthly payments must be a huge amount. Be careful not to run out of money for food. On this side, Lin Key took out a golden bank card and said, then you all are worrying too much. I'm sorry, I'll pay the full amount. Jiang Tianshu was shocked. Pay the full amount? Lin Key handed the card to the employee and replied, the password is 6 zeros. After the payment was completed, Lin Key said, prepare the contract. The employee extended both hands and said, yes, of course. Soji thought to herself, Lin Key is doing this to help me save face. I definitely need to thank him later. Then Suji linked arms with Lin Key and said, aren't you all going to buy a car? Have you chosen one yet? My boyfriend doesn't have much money. The most expensive car he can get is this one. Your family is so wealthy. Surely you'll buy a better car than ours, right? Jiang Tianshu's boyfriend coughed aside. Jiang Tianshu understood her boyfriend's hint and hurriedly pulled his hand away, saying, it's just buying the car. There's no need to be arrogant. Soji, seeing her walking away happily, said, that felt so refreshing. She acts so pretentious in front of me every day. It's really infuriating to watch. At this moment, watching Jiang Tianshu's figure leave, Lin Key spoke up. I really didn't expect a woman like her to reach her current position. Her connections are quite impressive. Soji replied, it's mainly because of her boyfriend's strong family background. Otherwise, the assistant manager position would have been mine. Then Lin Key put his arm around Soji's shoulder and said, all right, it's all in the past now. Don't pay attention to her anymore. Don't worry, I promise that you can crush her at school from now on. At this moment, Suji happily said, you must really like cars, right? Do you want me to go with you for a stroll around here? After that, he and Suji affectionately walked through the garage. He said, let's go over there and take a look. There's a modified car over there. At this time, the crowd around seemed to have discovered something, and they loudly said, hurry over there and take a look. That's a famous car model. I can't believe they're selling this car. Come on, let's check it out. Over here, a girl in a tight blue long dress, whose figure accentuated her advantages, stood next to a very eye-catching blue car. Switching to the screen, which displayed the car's specifications, Lin Key looked at the information on the screen and said in amazement, the metrics and specifications have improved significantly compared to before. Not bad, worth buying. At this moment, a young man loudly said, can you all step aside a little? Don't obstruct me from buying the car. This voice belonged to Dong Hanyu, the third most powerful family in Chuansheng province. He was walking next to a beauty, which made him somewhat arrogant. A young man stepped forward and said, hey buddy, you want to buy a car? This car probably costs over $3 million. That's not a small amount. Dong Hanyu waved his finger and said, you underestimate this car too much. This car must be at least $5 million. Saying it's $3 million is really disrespectful. At that moment, the female staff member's voice rang out. The opening is about to begin. We have organized a small activity. We will randomly select 10 lucky audience members to come on stage and take a commemorative photo with this car. At this time, Lin Key raised his hand and said, please call the sales manager over. To everyone's astonishment, he continued speaking. I want to buy this car now. Stop doing these ridiculous activities. A young man in a gray shirt reminded him, Hey buddy, you're saying you want to buy this car, which costs nearly $5 million. Are you kidding? At this point, the female staff member had invited her manager over. Du Kuan, the sales manager, looked in Lin Key's direction and said, "Hello, do you want to buy the car?" He immediately replied, "That's right." At this moment, Dong Hanyu stepped forward and said, "Wait, I also want to buy it. Let me explain my situation first. My father is Dong Gaoshin from Jiangfu Food Company, while he might just be a network streamer. Who do you think is more capable of buying, me or him?" Tu Quan, feeling awkward, said, "This car has only one piece in all of Asia. If both of you want to buy it." Then the manager thought of a way to satisfy both. He said, "Let's decide by flipping a coin. Whoever calls it." Dong Hanyu spoke up to choose first. "I will." Du Quan then continued, "Since both parties have no issues, we will now start flipping the coin." Du Quan immediately flipped the coin, it spun a few times, and then fell to the ground. Du Quan's voice echoed, "Make it a heads or tails." Dong Hanyu happily said, "This entertainment should come to an end. Go prepare the contract. I will settle the payment shortly." Tu Quan turned to the female staff member and said, "No need to organize a photo shoot anymore. Just announce the price." She politely replied, "Yes." At this moment, the female staff member turned back to the TV screen and the numbers kept spinning. She said, "The photo shoot activity is now concluded. We will announce the car price." The numbers stopped spinning and she loudly announced, "The final price is $6,300,000. At this moment, Dong Hanyu broke out in a cold sweat. The people around him continuously exclaimed, "Didn't they say this car could be bought for no more than $5 million? Why is it sold for over $6 million? Oh my, truly, it's a high-end modified version that's priced so high. But this car is just too beautiful." He thought to himself, "I only brought $5 million. I didn't expect it would still be insufficient. If I ask my dad for money again, he will definitely kill me." At that moment, Du Quan looked in his direction and said, "I have prepared the contract. We can proceed with the payment now." He cleared his throat twice and said, "Ham, I suddenly feel that this car doesn't quite suit me. I don't want to buy it anymore." Du Quan was shocked and said, "Not buying anymore? Didn't you just say that no matter what the car is like, you would buy it? Why are you changing your mind now?" Dong Hanyu explained, "I quite like the car's appearance, but the color isn't very nice, so I don't want it anymore. Generally speaking, I'm not very fond of this car. Let him have it." Sunji looked at him and said, "Ha." Lin Key then exposed Dong Hanyu's true face and said, "You can't afford it, so how can you say you're giving it to me? You're really good at shifting blame." Hearing this, Dong Hanyu angrily pointed at Lin Key and said, "A show-off like you doesn't deserve to be here. Just pointing at me. Wait until you can afford this car, then come talk to me." Lin Key presented his black bank card, then handed it to Du Quan. "I want this card now. The password is 6 zeros. Swipe it." Du Quan was stunned and said, "Ah, don't joke." Lin Key replied, "I already handed over the card. Can it still be fake?" Du Quan immediately turned around and walked away. Wait a moment. 3 minutes later, Du Quan returned, holding a tray with the contract and Lin Key's black card. He happily said, "Here's your card. It's been swiped. This is the contract. Please sign." Dong Hanyu was angry. He thought to himself, "Damn, I've encountered a ghost." Tu Quan asked Lin Key, "Where do you want to drop off the car?" Lin Key replied, "Let's drop it off at Shanghai International Racing Center." After that, he and Suji started to head outside. At that moment, a figure stood in front of them and said, "The world is truly round." It was none other than Zhang Tian-shu. She spoke, "Here we meet again." Suji mocked, "Didn't you say the world was round when you were following us? And after my boyfriend defeated you, you don't want to see us again?" Zhang Tian-shu flipped her hair and replied sharply, "Isn't it just buying a car worth over $200,000? What's there to show off? We can also buy it. It's just that I don't like to show off like you." Sungji pointed at Zhang Tian-shu. "I'm the one showing off? You're all branded from head to toe. When it comes to showing off, I'm sure I can't compare to you. I'm about to be promoted to the party committee office at the school. The one being compared here is you. In this respect, you're not better than me." Zhang Tian-shu responded, "Who said you were being promoted? Aren't you afraid people will laugh so hard they lose their teeth?" She continued, "Position of deputy director is mine. You can be the director of the student union, and if you don't believe it, you can call Director Zhang in the HR department and ask." Sungji was shocked. "Impossible. Don't just talk nonsense." Behind Soji, Lin Key's phone rang. Zhang Tian-shu raised his voice again. "Don't say that even if you buy a $200,000 car, it's useless. In the future, I will be your boss at school. You have to greet me when you see me." Soji was angry but didn't know how to refute. She could only helplessly exclaim, "You." Then a hand reached out, grabbing Soji's arm and said, "All right, don't get so worked up. That hand belonged to Lin Key," he said. "I'll handle this for you. No need to argue with them." Upon hearing this, Zhang Tianshu shouted angrily, "Who do you think you are? How dare you meddle in our school's affairs?" Just then, her phone rang. Rang, rang, rang. On the phone, the caller was Director Zhang. She pointed at the phone screen and said, "Director Zhang is calling me. She must be telling me to prepare the documents. And you, if you're not selected, don't be discouraged. If you work well later, there might still be opportunities." Then she turned around, changing her expression and tone 180 degrees, answered the call and said, "What does Director Zhang want? I don't need to go anymore. All right." At this moment, she turned pale and asked again, "What?" "I don't need to go anymore. Director Zhang, what's going on? Didn't we make it clear? Why the change of mind?" In response to her, there was only a beeping sound. Then Zhang Tianshu angrily looked at Suji and said, "What kind of despicable trick did you use to steal my position?" Suji crossed her arms and replied calmly, "This has nothing to do with me. Principal Zhao has revoked the decision. If you're unhappy, go ask her." Zhang Tianshu pointed directly at Suji's face and scolded her. "It was clearly decided in my favor. You definitely used some underhanded tactics." At this point, Zhang Tianshu's boyfriend stepped forward and said, "Come on, Tianshu, there's no need to argue with them. There are plenty of positions in the school. I'll arrange something for you. You don't need to worry about this time." Then he pointed at Suji and threatened, "Consider us enemies now. It will be clear later." Lin Key stepped forward and loudly said, "What? You don't even know who I am, and you're bragging here?" Standing next to Suji, Lin Key introduced himself. He is Lin Key, the vice principal of Shanghai Normal University. If you worked a little harder and looked through the school's organization, you wouldn't be so arrogant in front of him. Standing opposite the two, Zhang Tianshu exclaimed in astonishment, "Vice principal?" Lin Key pressed the key in his hand, and the sound from the car key rang out. Beep, beep. Zhang Tianshu seemed to realize something, looking at the key in Lin Key's hand and covering her mouth as she said, "You guys drive a supercar?" At that moment, Suji had gotten into the car, waved goodbye to Zhang Tianshu and said, "I hope that one day you can also buy a car like this." Seeing Suji in the supercar, Zhang Tianshu was speechless and didn't know how to respond. Then the two Lin Key drove away, leaving Zhang Tianshu in astonishment. In the car, Suji happily said, "Well, today was so thrilling. I finally won against her once." After that, Suji blushed as she looked at Lin Key. "I really have to thank you for today. So I've made up my mind. From now on, I will meet any of your requests." Lin Key said coldly, "Ha, you really are." Suji interjected, "I've worked hard too, but my talent is limited." Meanwhile, Han Xiaofu and Dong Hanyu, the young heirs of powerful families in Xuansheng province, exclaimed in amazement, "What happened? Aren't you going to buy a car anymore? Why are you driving this old car?" Over here, Dong Hanyu awkwardly scratched his head and said, "Don't mention it. That car was nearly $5 million, and it ended up selling for over $6 million. I didn't bring enough money." Hearing this, Chao Fu also sighed. "Oh my, that's quite a difference." Then Chao Fu stepped forward, put his arm around Dong Hanyu, and consoled him. "Come on, don't be upset. It's not a big deal. After the new year, there will be several new models coming out." Dong Hanyu spoke up, "I'm not angry because I couldn't buy the car, but because I was defeated by some unknown person." At this moment, Xiao Fu asked in amazement, "Defeated? Who dares to defeat you? What's going on?" Just then, a black car came running. The two were shocked by the sudden appearance of the owner of the car. Then, a foot stepped out of the car. Xiao Fu called out loudly, "Brother Qin." At this moment, Xiao Fu introduced, "This is my friend, Dong Hanyu. He came to hang out today." Waving his hand from beside them, he said, "Hello, Brother Qin," he replied casually. "Ah." Then he asked, "Where are we supposed to go to the racetrack today? Why are you driving this car?" At this moment, Xiao Fu explained, "Don't mention it. These past few days, Shanghai has a car exhibition. My friend was planning to buy a car, but someone blocked him, and he couldn't buy it." Xiao Fu clenched his fist and said, "Brother Qin, could you help me? Help me find that person. I'm ready to deal with him." Qin Han immediately agreed. "Easy matter. We've known each other for many years. If your friend is on my turf and something happens, I have to help. Once it's done, I'll arrange a feast. At that time, I'll explain this in detail." Xiao Fu said, "Then thank you, Brother Qin." "Brother Qin, can we try racing at this racetrack?" Qin Han said, "This racetrack belongs to my friend. Otherwise, I wouldn't have called you here." After that, Qin Han looked at a blue delivery truck that was parked and said, "What is this truck doing here?" Chow Few also asked curiously, "What's going on? Is it a delivery truck?" At that moment, the delivery person spoke up. "Mr. Lin ordered a truck. I am responsible for the delivery. Who is Lin Key? Please take out your ID for signing." Hearing that familiar name, Liang Jinming cheerfully said, "Mr. Lin bought another truck. Quickly unload it. While he's not here, I'll take it for a spin." Just then, Lin Key's truck also arrived. Dong Hanyu wondered aloud, who is coming? Then he and Xiao Fu turned around to look. They exclaimed in shock, "This truck." Kin Han said, "If I remember correctly, this truck sells for about $10 million. There is only one in the world." Then Kin Han pointed towards the truck while looking at Xiao Fu and said, "You understand things well. This is Mr. Lin's truck. I will introduce you to him later." Xiao Fu replied happily, "Thank you, Mr. Qin." At that moment, the door of the truck opened. Then Lin Key stepped down, stood beside the truck, and said, "Why is everyone here? Did you all come to see my new truck?" On this side, Dong Hanyu was astonished. He pointed towards Lin Key and shouted, "You again." Standing next to him, Kin Han reminded, "Why are you shouting?" Lin Key approached and looked at Dong Hanyu and said, "You are here too." At this moment, Xiao Fu's complexion turned pale as he said, "Hanyu, you didn't get into a conflict with young Master Lin at the auto show, did you?" Dong Hanyu stammered, I didn't know he was young Master Lin." Then he bowed his head towards Lin Key and said, "Young Master Lin, the incident at the exhibition was my fault. I hope you won't hold it against me." "Over here," Lin Key raised his hand to gesture to stop and said, "It's fine. Just consider it a meet and greet." At this moment, Jin Ming looked towards Lin Key and said, "Lin, don't pay attention to these kids anymore. Hurry up and unveil the goods we're waiting to see." Lin Key replied, "Okay." Then a blue car appeared before them. The group of Kin Han exclaimed, "I have to say, this car worth over $6 million feels really different. What made you think of buying this car? Does your garage have enough space?" Lin Key answered, "I originally didn't plan to buy it. I came to the auto show with a friend and I happened to buy it on a whim." Over here, Dong Hanyu, pale-faced, thought, "Buying on a whim, the level of a wealthy person is indeed different." Jin Ming suggested, "Then you can't be too stingy. Let me borrow it for a few days, okay?" Lin Key firmly said, "This car is not meant to be kept at home. In the future, it will be parked in a garage. If you guys want to drive it, just come and get the keys." On this side, Dong Hanyu looked towards Xiao Fu and said, "This expensive car is available for everyone to borrow. That's incredibly rich." At Lang Yun Corporation, the door to the office opened. Kai Xiansao immediately stood up and said, "Boss Lin." Lin Key asked, "Is there really no hope left regarding that matter?" Then Cake Xiansao sat down in his chair. He rubbed his temples and said, "They are still using safety as an excuse to prevent our ship from passing. We've tried every method, but none have been effective. The ship has been halted for so long. If this continues, we'll lose at least $1 million. Lin Key then spoke, "There's nothing suspicious about it. Losing some money is fine. Have you thought about an alternative route?" Kai Xiansao began to analyze. "If we don't go through the Panama Canal, we must go around the Gulf of Guinea and Argentina. Crossing the Pacific like that will be more expensive and dangerous. It's not a reasonable route." At this moment, Lin Key raised 2 fingers and said, "Then contact 2 smaller ships, split the cargo, and transport it through the Panama Canal." Kai Xiansao reluctantly said, "That's the only option for now." After that, he slammed his hand on the table and said, "But I still can't swallow this anger. It feels like they are confronting us." At this moment, Lin Key was pouring tea and said, "It might be related to other conflicting interests. We are merely sacrifices. In other words, if like moths flying in front of lights, what was that saying? If you can't resist, then enjoy it quietly." Afterward, both of them happily enjoyed their tea and laughed loudly. Hi ha. After that, Lin Key took a sip of tea and said, "This matter should be taken care of by the subordinates. The new year is approaching. You should also take a break and find somewhere to have fun. I'll cover the expenses." On this side, Kiak Xiam's house spoke up. "The company party is about to start. Boss Lin, are you going on stage to perform? I've heard Tian, the CEO, say that there are still many employees who don't recognize you." Lin Key Leslie replied, "Showing off is not my style. You go instead." Kiak Xiam's house shyly responded, "You and Yuan volunteered for this job already." Lin Key said happily, "I knew it. For an occasion like this, how could she miss it?" Kang Xiansao cheerfully said, "That's right." At the Peninsula Hotel, a hotel manager ran toward Lin Key and said, "Boss Lin." Then he continued, "I have good news to share with you. This party has invited many stars. Some female actor managers came to ask for me. Boss Lin, can you guess what it's about?" Lin Key casually replied, Promotion for my hotel, right? He shook his finger and said, they don't seem to be targeting that. They are hinting and inquiring quite a bit about you. From my experience, those actresses appear to have an interest in you. Boss Lin, do you have anyone in mind so I can convey your message? Lin Key felt awkward, unsure how to respond. He said, you have to understand tonight is the party of Lang Yun Corporation and Zhao Yang Corporation. My girlfriend will also be attending. Are you sure you want to help me with this? He turned pale and shouted, ah! Then flustered, he bowed his head in apology and said, boss, I was wrong. Lin Key praised, your adaptability as a hotel manager is truly being wasted. The group is lacking a CEO position. I will recommend you. He happily replied, thank you for the kind words, Boss Lin. It is an honor to work under your leadership. Just feeding me is enough. I don't need anything more. At that moment, the hotel door suddenly opened. Yuan said, you're so busy yet you came here? After all, it's your company party. The CEO should at least make an appearance. Today's party is organized by your company and the Zhao Yang Group. She continued to ask, is your sister also coming here today? At this point, Lin Key cleared his throat and Yuan immediately stepped aside and said, then I have to keep my distance from you. If she sees me, it won't be good. Lin Key replied, don't talk about unnecessary things. She hasn't finished work yet. After that, she left, waving and saying, I'm not joking with you anymore. Lin Key said, where are you going? Aren't you in charge of tonight's event? At that moment, she turned back, winked at Lin Key, and said, our company has someone specifically in charge of this. If it weren't for your company's matters, I wouldn't have come. I'm leaving now. By the way, I heard someone say there's a famous rice cake shop near the hotel. After that, she waved her hand at Lin Key and said, you should buy some more. Later, you can use it to charm your girls. At a pastry shop, the old vendor asked, young man, what would you like to buy? Lin Key looked at the display case and said, is this all that's left? The old man beside him spoke up, you arrived too late. Lin Key hesitated and said, I want. At that moment, a girl whose face was covered approached the pastry shop. She sulkily said, why is there so little? The old man replied, this is already quite good. Usually, by this time, everything would be sold out. The girl said, ha ha, then wrap it all up for me and tell me how much it costs. At this point, the old man pointed towards Lin Key and said, no, young lady, this young man came first, so I can't sell to you. Then she looked at Lin Key and said, how much is he buying? I'll take everything that's left. At that moment, Lin Key said, I'll take everything. She exclaimed in surprise, what? Then she angrily pointed at Lin Key and said, are you trying to provoke me on purpose? Lin Key calmly replied, I'm just here to buy something. How can that be considered provoking? She placed her hands on her hips and said, even though he came first, since I offered the money first, it should be sold to me. The old man, caught in a dilemma, hesitated and said, this situation. At this moment, Lin Key hit his hand on the pastry display and said, I came first, so I should be the one to buy first. She refused to be at a disadvantage and spoke up. You are a man, yet you're competing with a woman. Can't you just come buy it tomorrow? Lin Key replied, actually, coming to buy it tomorrow is fine, but with your attitude, I don't want to give in. If you really want it, come early tomorrow. She lowered her voice. I'm about to leave. There's only a little time left. At that moment, the old man spoke up. I finished packing. Lin Key responded, if you can't come tomorrow, that's your problem. It has nothing to do with me. She was left speechless, unsure of how to respond, only managing to exclaim, you, before he turned and walked away. She took off her glasses and mask. Looking in Lin Key's direction, she cursed. Damn, I came from afar just to buy pastries from this shop, and this person ruined everything. She was Tang Xiao, a famous singer. In the dressing room, no unauthorized personnel allowed. At that moment, a girl with blue hair was holding her phone and said, Miss Tang, I'm a fan of yours. Can we take a photo together? Tang Xiao happily replied, sure. Then she cheerfully posed for a picture with her fan. After the fan left, a woman in a blue suit came in and said, where are you supposed to go buy sticky rice cakes? Why are you back so late? Tang Xiao leaned back on the table and said, don't mention it. I'm so pissed off. Then she said in an angry tone, the cake is almost gone, taken away by a nasty man. I can't enjoy their sticky rice cake and I won't sleep all tonight. The girl in the blue suit replied in amazement, is that so? Didn't he give you any face at all? Tang Xiao crossed her arms and coldly said, not giving face. He must have an unusual personality, huh? At this moment, the girl in the blue suit angrily said, what's the fuss about? When I get back, I'll ask my friends here to buy you some and send it to Yanjing. Let's go. Stop talking about this. Wait until you finish your makeup. I have something important to tell you. Tang Xiao asked, what is it? Has the negotiation for the brand representation been finalized? The other girl said, do you know the CEO of Lang Yun Corporation? Tang Xiao was surprised and said, you don't mean you want me to have dinner with him, do you? Then she frowned and said, let me tell you, don't even think about that. I won't agree. The other girl then spoke up. You're getting mad again? She waved her hand and said, this isn't madness. Just the thought of dining with a bunch of fat middle-aged men makes me nauseous. I'm not interested at all. At this point, she said seriously, you are still so proud. There are quite a few female celebrities today, all trying to find ways to get to know him. As long as the other party nods, it's like fire meets kindling. Just a touch and it ignites. Who do you think you are? He might not even bother to have a meal with you. Tang Xiao turned her head and said, anyway, I consider myself a top singer now. No more talking. I have to go perform. The girl was silent, not knowing what to say. At that moment, Lin Key entered the hotel. The hotel manager happily approached, waving and calling out, Mr. Lin, over here. Lin Key responded, have you arrived? Over here, Jag King Ren spoke up. Hurry up, there's not much time left. We're about to start. The people around turned to look and said, CEO Lin has arrived. They started applauding to welcome him. CEO Lin, CEO Lin. Lin Key pointed towards the crowd and said, everyone sit in the front and we'll sit in the back. Jai King Ren teased with a smile. Are you afraid someone will see you doze off? Lin Key let out a breath and laughed. You understand me well. At that moment on stage, the MC began to speak. Thank you all for attending the annual conference of Zhao Yang Group and Lang Yun Corporation. Now please welcome Ms. Tang Xiao to perform the song Under the Starry Sky. Let's give her a warm welcome. At this time, Tang Xiao stepped onto the stage and said, I'm very happy to have the opportunity to attend the annual conference of Lang Yun Corporation and Zhao Yang Group. At the same time, I wish both companies continued growth and new successes. On stage, she looked down and suddenly recognized someone. She said, so it's the employees of these two companies. She looked towards Lin Key. Sitting next to him, Gaozong Yuan spoke up. Lin, this girl is not bad. Lin Key was silent, saying nothing. He looked at the girl on stage and thought to himself, why does her voice sound a bit like a rice cake seller? Her figure really resembles one too. What a coincidence. After that, Tang Xiao bowed her head and said, thank you everyone for enjoying. The audience below kept cheering, one more song, one more song. At this moment, she was surprised to see someone yawning below. She thought to herself, how disrespectful. At this moment, Tang Xiao spoke up. Actually, there's one more song I plan to sing, but today is a happy day. I want to invite a fan to come up and sing with me. Then she pointed towards Lin Key and said, that guy in the suit. At this moment, the entire auditorium turned their gaze towards Lin Key. He and Yuan covered her mouth and laughed, saying, is this girl doing it on purpose? She was hiding over there and still got picked. Sitting next to them, J. King Ren spoke up, it could be, because Lin Key stands out too much. That's why he got chosen. At this moment, the MC stepped up and handed the microphone to Lin Key, saying, Boss Lin, Tang Xiao has chosen you. Go on stage and sing with her. Lin Key replied, I don't even know who she is. What am I supposed to sing? Sitting next to him, Gaozong Yuan pushed Lin Key and said, Lin, don't keep the beauty waiting. Hurry up. Lin Key reluctantly stood up and said, all right. After that, Tang Xiao extended her hand towards Lin Key and said, everyone, let's give him a round of applause for encouragement. As she approached, Lin Key was surprised to realize something. He pointed at her and said, you're the one who just bought the sticky rice cake, right? She looked in his direction and said, you recognize me, huh? You stole my sticky rice cake, and I even invited you on stage to sing with me. Others don't have that honor. You don't need to be too moved. Lin Key replied, I'm about to fall asleep. Why are you calling me up? Don't you think it's unethical to disturb someone else's sleep? Hearing this, she turned her head to look at him and said, others who want this opportunity can't get it, and you're still complaining. Well, since you're already on stage, don't tell me you won't sing. Then she picked up the mic and said, next, I will sing a song with our company staff. As for which song to sing, let this lucky audience member choose. Lin Key voiced, I usually don't listen to music. Tang Xiao gently said, that's fine. Just choose any song you like. I can sing along. If nothing else, we can sing a children's song. It's mainly to liven up the atmosphere. He then casually said, all right then, let's sing the Super Highland. At this moment, down below, Yuan raised her phone high to record and said, the Super Highland. This is indeed a rare occasion, picking such a high-pitched song. Sitting beside her, Jack King Ren covered his face and said, at the company's year-end party, we can sing anything as long as everyone is happy. But why choose such a difficult song? Tang Xiao spoke up to remind, Are you sure you want to choose this song? It's in a high pitch. If you don't have professional skills, it's easy to falter. Hearing this, Lin Key replied, as long as there are no issues, it's fine. Tang Xiao responded, I'm sure there won't be any issues. If you're ready, let's start. In her mind, she thought, this song is already difficult for me to sing. I can't believe an amateur could do it. Then he cleared his throat and began to sing. Who has brought the call of the future? Who has left 1,000 years of longing? Standing next to him, Tang Xiao looked astonished. Below, Jia King Ren and Yuan were enjoying the performance. Tang Xiao turned pale and thought, to sing in such a high pitch and still stay steady, how am I supposed to sing after this? Didn't he just say I couldn't sing? Lin Key finished the lyrics and turned to Tang Xiao, saying, it's your turn now. She thought, if I sing in that pitch, I will definitely falter. She lowered her tone and sang, expanding her voice. Beneath this blue sky, the crowd below exclaimed in shock. Why did Tang Xiao lower her tone? Her level is not even as good as our CEO. In the dressing room, where no unauthorized personnel were allowed, Tang Xiao angrily broke the comb in her hand and said, he has truly surpassed me completely. He is really hiding his talent. It's driving me crazy. At this moment, a girl in a suit walked in and said, Xiao, your performance wasn't bad. I've known you for so long and didn't realize you also have hidden talents. Tang Xiao was surprised and said, what do you mean? The girl in the suit spoke up. The person you invited is the CEO of Lang Yun Corporation. We should be flattering him instead, so you did very well. Tang Xiao stood up, slammed the table, and said, what did you say? He is the CEO of Lang Yun Corporation. She fearfully replied, you were just acting arrogantly towards me. I didn't expect you to turn around and invite him to the stage to sing. It's really too discreet. On Lin Key's private plane, J. King Ren on the other end of the phone said, how many days will you stay in Yangcheng during the new year? Lin Key replied, I should be able to come back around the 4th. Stay at home and wait for me. The other end responded, ah. At this moment, a girl's voice rang out. I'm here. The person was none other than Liang Ru Yu. She spoke up. I'll hitch a ride on your plane to go home. Lin Key replied, what do you mean? What's mine is yours. You can use it whenever you want. Liang Ru Yu said, that's right. Dong County seems to be about to be developed into a high-tech industrial zone. Your efforts are not in vain. You're finally about to escape poverty. After that, the plane began to take off. Lin Key said, that's enough. He thought to himself, calculating the time, this project took nearly a year. It can be said to be the longest, but also the most rewarding. An hour later, the plane began to descend. The two got off the plane, carrying their luggage. Liang Ru Yu asked, are we having dinner at home tonight? Lin Key replied, no, I ran into some issues while abroad, and I need to meet Lu Ben Chen first. Liang Ru Yu reminded him, then you should hurry up. Don't go empty-handed when you visit others. After that, he gave Liang Ru Yu a light kiss on the cheek and said, you always understand the situation the best. At Lu Ben Chen's house, Lu Ben Chen's wife spoke up. What do you think? If you come, just come. Why buy anything? If it happens again, I won't let you come. Lin Key replied, it's not like it's anything expensive. Then Lu Ben Chen's wife said, go in quickly. The meal is ready. We're just waiting for you. At this moment, Lu Ben Chen uncorked a bottle of wine and said, there must be something going on. He poured wine into a glass, looked at Lin Key and said, you're not running into any trouble, are you? Lin Key responded, well, the new year is approaching. After all, you are my boss. I should get a chance to flatter you, right? At this moment, Lu Ben Chen held a glass of wine and said, a box of fresh milk and a box of cherries. These two things combined don't even match the glass of white wine you drink. You're definitely here to flatter me. Why do I feel like you're slapping my face? Ha ha ha. Lin Key replied, don't think of it that way. Giving a goose feather from 1,000 miles away may be light, but the sentiment is heavy. Lu Ben Chen laughed and said, this kid is really mischievous, just like his father back in the day. He took a sip and continued, let's get to the main issue. You just got off the plane and came here, so you must be facing some difficulties. Lin Key spoke up. I want to show you something. Then from his belongings, Lin Key took out a box. Inside was something resembling a ring. Lu Ben Chen exclaimed in surprise. What is this? Lin Key quickly cautioned. Don't touch it. This is a small high-pressure bomb. Lu Ben Chen asked, where did you get it? Lin Key replied, I encountered a group of people abroad and accidentally took it from them. This must belong to some special organization. You have extensive knowledge. Can you investigate whose it is? Lin Key pointed towards the bomb. With a serious expression, Lu Ben Chen said, I'll hold on to this for now, but whether I can find out where it came from, I'm not sure. Many organizations carry similar items during special operations. I'll give it a try. I heard from Lu Hong's report that you ran into some trouble abroad. Their people were dealing with discarded goods, but the Black Gold organization is no longer a threat to us. When you confronted them, was the cargo in his possession real? Lin Key replied, it was real, but I couldn't get it. Lu Ben Chen pondered and said, in that case, we could rob what you have. This organization is not simple at all. We are lacking control at the moment. Lin Key raised his glass with him and said, then if we can't clarify this matter, let's change the topic. I've had my mother abroad. Lu Ben Chen's wife, sitting beside him, exclaimed, you've met her already? Lin Key looked towards her and asked, do you two know my mother? Lu Ben Chen's wife replied, we've known each other for many years. At this moment, she slowly recounted, your mother and Shu Yi grew up together. When they were young, she came to my house for meals every day. Looking at the embroidered picture on the wall, she continued, my Suzhou embroidery skills were taught to me by your mother. Lin Key thought for a moment and said, no wonder everyone is so enthusiastic whenever I visit. It turns out they are old friends of my parents. At this point, Lu Ben Chen spoke up. Go ahead, what do you want to ask? Lin Key quickly inquired, what about my father, whom I've never met? What kind of person is he? His identity can't be simple, right? In his mind, he pictured a middle-aged man in a green coat but exuding power. Lu Ben Chen laughed and said, ha ha, your father was also a strong man in his day. Back then, the masters of Yanjing were all defeated by him. Lin Key pressed for more. So what happened? Why did he leave here? At this point, he began to recount. Back then, there was a little boy who teased his mother and was dealt with by his father. That person was of noble status, just like his father, who was the same as me. Now think about how serious the situation was. Lin Key spoke up. After the incident, they couldn't stay in Yanjing. They were quietly sent away. The Qin family began to decline from that point on. Holding a glass of wine, he said, after you were born, they couldn't take care of themselves. Your mother had no choice but to send you to Yangcheng. Later, your father also fought hard and became famous in the chaos out there. At this moment, Lu Ben Chen's wife placed her hand on Lin Key's hand. She sobbed and said, your mother hasn't had it easy all these years. What kind of mother would be willing to leave her child? Lin Key, with a sad expression, said, I know. That's why we still shared a meal together. My mother over there is fine, but my father hasn't settled down these past few years, has he? Lu Ben Chen spoke up. Haven't you met him? Lin Key shook his head and said, I've had someone under his command, grade A. You also don't know how he is now. At this point, Lu Ben Chen said in a deep voice, I don't know, but your father is a very ambitious person. If not, he would do whatever he wanted to the end. While I don't know him very well, he definitely has a place on the world stage. Then Lin Key spoke up and asked, do you know Julie Island? Lu Ben Chen was astonished and repeated, Julie Island. Then Lu Ben Chen said, do you know? All the organizations are eyeing Julie Island. It is a place that could change the dynamics of the world. Whoever occupies that place will be able to claim kingship in the war-torn land. In Lu Ben Chen's mind, the image of a man manipulating the entire world appeared. Lin Key said, given the current situation, any side that wants to intervene will be attacked from all angles, right? Lu Ben Chen replied, all these years, although I haven't helped your father, if one day there is an achievement, I will definitely stand by your side to some extent. Let's consider ourselves a group, just without overlapping interests. This way, I have benefited from your family. At this moment, Lu Ben Chen's wife also spoke up. You know it's wrong. You shouldn't have involved Lin Key in the organization from the beginning. Lu Ben Chen replied, I could know back then. If I had known your identity, I wouldn't have let you into the organization. Take a sip. Lin Key responded, okay. While saying this, he clinked glasses with both hands. The phone rang. Ring, ring. He picked up, and the voice on the other end hurriedly said, Boss Lin, there's a problem. The shipment is stuck in the Panama Canal. There's an issue again. He immediately stood up and said, weren't the shipments already arranged? What else could go wrong? Check again. The goods were all loaded, and then you mentioned this. Go over and negotiate with them to see where the problem lies. Hanging up the phone, Lin Key thought to himself, it seems that Lang Yun Corporation might have been targeted by someone. He then turned to Lu Ben Chen and said, you've had quite a bit to drink today. It's getting late. I won't keep you any longer. He knew Lin Key had matters to attend to and did not insist on keeping him. He said, go ahead, go ahead. A month later, the conference hall was filled with a large crowd. They began to exchange opinions. What does the school want to do calling us back so early? A girl spoke up. I heard it's about the internship, but the advisor didn't provide any details. Then Lin Key and Suji entered. At that moment, the group of girls exclaimed excitedly, aha! Great, they're here. The story about the teacher hitting international students back then is so cool. I've become a fan of that teacher. At this point, Suji tapped the microphone a few times and said, "All right, everyone be quiet." Then she looked at Lin Key and said, "Now Teacher Lin will talk about the internship. Professor Lin Key, or just call him Lin Key." He stood up and said, "I have contacted everyone with the school in Dong County. The school follows a model of elementary, middle, and high school. Currently, there is a shortage of teachers, so I would like to ask for everyone's opinion." At that moment, a young man spoke up. "My hometown is nearby. Dong County is a poor district with very low salaries. It seems like only a few $100s a month. It's terrible." The girl next to him exclaimed, "Impossible. What era are we in that there are still such low wages? It's not even enough to buy a bag." At this point, Lin Key continued, "In fact, this situation is not as bad as you think. The situation in Dong County has improved. Internship salaries can reach a few $1,000s a month, but official salaries are not that high either. After working for 3 years or more, one can gain permanent employment." A girl in a brown-red shirt spoke up, "Such a benefits system is quite good. At least there are permanent positions. In the current situation, people with PhDs and master's degrees are all on contracts, unable to secure permanent jobs. This level of benefits is quite decent." Nearby, a young man protested. "What Teacher Lin said is that only after working for 3 years or more can one secure a permanent position. What if one can't? Isn't all those years of youth just wasted? Permanent positions are too far out of reach for us is probably just a deception." At this moment, Lin Key asked, "What has everyone thought? Can you share your thoughts with me? Is there anyone who wants to go?" Below, everyone was silent. At this moment, Principal Zhao Qi stood up and said, "This is the opportunity that Mr. Lin has worked hard to secure for you. The competition pressure in society is very high. With your abilities, it is very difficult to get jobs in schools. Don't waste Mr. Lin's efforts." At this time, Lin Key looked toward Zhao Qi and said, "Principal Zhao, let the students decide for themselves. Don't interfere with their thoughts." Then he took the microphone and said, "I'll ask again. If you want to participate, please stand up." The situation did not look promising and silence continued below. He spoke up, "It seems that Dong County isn't really that appealing." Then he said, "Disperse." Everyone began to leave one by one. Zhao Qi let out a long sigh sadly. Then he spoke, "These students are really disappointing. How about we arrange for them to intern first? At least that will solve the issue at the school. Unless they finish their internship, the senior students cannot replace them." At this moment, Lin Key spoke up, "But changing teachers every year is not a solution either. Principal Zhao, let's leave it at that. If the students don't want to go there, we won't force them." Zhao Qi responded, "But the issues at the school are still unresolved. We need to find another way." At this point, a phone rang. He answered it and with a cheerful expression said, "All right." After that, he hung up the phone, turned to Zhao Qi and said, "The internship issue has been resolved. In a short time, there are no major problems." Principal Zhao Qi looked happy, then he spoke up, "The issue has been settled." Lin Key nodded slightly and replied, "Yes, over there they have recruited 32 people. While it is still not enough, it at least ensures the teaching task. As for the rest, we'll take it step by step. It's not a big problem." At this moment, the group of people had not gone far and was stunned to turn back and look. At that time, Zhao Qi pointed towards the crowd and said, "This opportunity was initially for you. Now it's good. You didn't seize it, and now it's being taken by others." A young man stepped forward and said, "Principal, I feel like you are collaborating to deceive us. In such a remote place, even we, as freshly graduated bachelors, do not want to come. So how can experienced teachers be willing to come?" Zhao Qi spoke up reproachingly. "What do you mean by a remote area? Teacher Lin has already said that it will definitely develop in the future. Don't view it with a negative perspective. I am also the principal of a school. How could I do anything that harms students?" At this moment, Lin Key stepped forward and said, "All right, principal, please calm down." He held out his phone and said, "This is the latest official news." Then he turned the phone screen toward the crowd and said, "It clearly shows that Dong County will be developed into a national model area for high-tech industry. Langyun Corporation has built a chip manufacturing industrial park, which will create a new high-tech economic zone." The crowd was astonished and speechless. Lin Key turned to look at Principal Zhao and said, "Let's leave it at that for the school's matters. I will take my leave now." He said cheerfully, "Thank you very much today, Teacher Lin." After that, the crowd surrounded Principal Zhao and said, "Principal Zhao, do we still have opportunities to intern now?" "Principal, I also want to sign up for an internship." Principal Zhao spoke up, "Don't think about it anymore. It's too late if you want to go now. You students have truly disappointed me. As university students of today, you should have a broader perspective and focus on the future, yet you only care about immediate benefits. I really feel ashamed for you. At that moment, they shyly said, mainly, we didn't know that Dong County has such good welfare policies. Principal Zhao spoke up. Teacher Lin already mentioned it, but you can believe him, so don't blame anyone else. Let's disperse. At this point, two pairs of feet slowly walked away and said, Teacher Lin, don't take what just happened to heart. They were Suji and Lin Key. Suji spoke up. The students are still young and don't understand much. You shouldn't take it to heart. Lin Key replied, don't think I'm that petty. I'm here to solve problems, not to compete for face. Lin Key continued, I'm just bringing you here, but I have to leave early. Standing nearby, Suji waved and said, goodbye. In the luxury car, Lin Key answered a phone call and said, I have to go to Dong County for a bit, so I won't be back tonight. Jia King Ren said, I see. So when you get to Dong County, you'll be passing through Yuhang City, right? Lin Key responded, I'll have Du Jiao pick me up and arrange a meal for me. She always wants to see you and have a meal together. Besides, you have to eat in the evening anyway. It doesn't matter who you eat with. At this moment, the car arrived in front of Secretary Lu. He got out of the car and said, Secretary Lu, I really apologize for the trouble. He cheerfully replied, what are you talking about? I'm doing this not only to help you, but also to do good for our Dong County. Without you, this place wouldn't have the scale it has now. If we're talking about gratitude, then I should be the one to say thank you. We have selected a group of outstanding teachers and their qualifications are certainly beyond reproach, and all of them can sign contracts, not just for show. Lin Key praised, your work is certainly above board. I am truly grateful. He spoke up. I have already informed you we will gather tomorrow and depart at 1 p.m. It is estimated to take about half an hour to reach the destination. Lin Key gave an okay sign and said, no problem, just leave it to me. At that moment, a voice behind him called out, Lin. Then Xiao Bing rushed to hug Lin Key. He exclaimed in surprise, why did you come here? He looked at her and said, stop. First, look at where this is. Be careful not to get caught by someone else. She quickly replied, you haven't been here for a long time. I missed you so much that I couldn't help myself. Then she let go of him. Lin Key asked, how did you know I was coming here? She recounted, I was off yesterday and happened to come here to discuss a project. They mentioned you. He said you might come the next few days. I told him to let me know when you arrived, so that's why I'm here now. Secretary Lu hurriedly left and said, you two just talk. I need to get back to work. At that moment, Lin Key pulled her into his arms and then said, you've been practicing well lately. She replied happily, this week's organization doesn't have any tasks, so I found a place to practice on my own. Don't be fooled by the fact that I'm still an E cup. I can feel the door to a D cup opening. Then she took his hand and said, let's go. Today I've arranged a poolside party for you, at least a C cup, sure to match your tastes. Lin Key shyly replied, that's not really appropriate, as if I'm some kind of lecture. At this moment, a girl's voice rang out, brother-in-law. Then Song Jia Yu stared at him. She didn't say a word, but her expression said it all. Lin Key turned pale and thought to himself, that's it, I forgot to tell her to come. At this moment, Xiao Bing explained, you are Lin Key's sister-in-law, right? Don't get it wrong. She's a friend of my brother, not the kind of relationship you think. Song Jia Yu spoke up. Brother-in-law, do you think I can believe that? Lin Key said, if you don't believe, he held up a finger and said, I'll give you $1 billion. At this moment, Song Jia Yu's expression brightened as she said, I believe you now. Then Song Jia Yu winked, stuck out her tongue to lick her lips, and said, just by looking, it's clear that you two are just ordinary friends with no complicated relationship. Then Lin Key extended his hand towards the girl beside him and said, let me introduce, this is my sister-in-law, Song Jia Yu, and this to my friend, Xiao Bing. At this moment, Xiao Bing reached out to shake hands with Song Jia Yu and said, hello. Song Jia Yu also responded, hello, Sister Bing. Xiao Bing said, my brother-in-law wants to invest in you. Are you starting a business? I don't have much money either, but meeting is fate. I will invest $50 million in you. Song Jia Yu's face was full of excitement as she said, $50 million. At this moment, Song Jia Yu reached out to take the arms of Xiao Bing and Lin Key and said, hey, we're all family here. Don't be shy, let's find a place to eat and talk. This isn't the right place to discuss. Then she pulled the two of them and said, let's go, I'm a bit hungry too. At this moment, Lai Ming, the CEO of Long Ting, pointed at Lin Key and said, impressed if you guessed it right. She's not going home to handle work, but is running off to meet another man. What should we do now? Bian Lai, the chairman of Longting Security Company, said, don't worry, I've made calculations. I won't give her this opportunity. At the hotel, the three of them were sitting enjoying the delicious food on the table when suddenly Song Jia-yu's phone rang. The screen displayed the name, Jai King Ren. Then Song Jia-yu turned the phone screen towards Lin Key. He quickly spoke up and said, "Add another $20 million. Song Jia-yu pretended to be innocent and said, "Why do you keep mentioning money? As if I'm someone who loves money." Then she picked up the phone and said, "Hey sis, I met my brother-in-law. We're eating at a restaurant. Yeah. See you later." Just after hanging up, Song Jia-yu looked at him and said, "Brother-in-law, how did I perform?" Lin Key replied while eating, "You did very well. Talented people like you don't need that much investment, so I've decided to withdraw the funds." At this moment, Song Jia-yu became angry and pointed at the phone, saying, "What? You said you would invest in me, but you can't go back on your word like this. Be careful, or I'll tell my sister." Lin Key quickly said, "I already told you, even if you tell her, she won't believe it." Then she clasped her hands towards Xiao Bing and said, "Sister Bing about this." Xiao Bing responded, "Don't worry, my $50 million will definitely be invested in you. I'm not lying." Then she happily turned back to Xiao Bing and said, "Sister Bing is the best." She turned to Lin Key, sticking out her tongue, and said, "Brother-in-law, what? When it comes down to it, you're not even as good as outsiders." Lin Key was left speechless by this sister. Then Lin Key pointed at Song Jia-yu and said, "She just called you an outsider. Are you still sure about investing in her?" Song Jia-yu quickly waved her hands and said, Wait, it was just a slip of the tongue. As long as you invest in me, it doesn't matter if you call me sister or sister-in-law." Xiao Bing covered her mouth and smiled, then said, "Generally, don't misunderstand the two of them. It's just a good friendship, nothing improper." Jia-yu looked towards the two and said, "I know I haven't misunderstood from the beginning, but that $50 million still needs to be invested. This is a different matter." Then he added, "My sister-in-law is really impressive." He sighed. At that moment, Song Jia-yu had turned away and said, "Brother-in-law, are you busy tonight? You want to come to my company to take a look?" Lin Key thought to himself, "The pool party. I can't bring her along." Then he spoke up and said, "Not tonight. I have a dinner appointment with the leaders. Let's do it tomorrow morning." Over here, Song Jia-yu happily said, "Then it's settled. Tomorrow morning I will pick you up and we will go to my company together." Lin Key replied irritably, "I know." 1 hour later, at the pool party, Lin Key was wearing swimming trunks that revealed his toned 8-pack and was sitting next to a hot girl. Looking at the girls around, he quietly said, "Ancient emperors were like this too." At this moment, Xiao Bing came over in a swimsuit and said, "Lin, how do you feel? These girls aren't bad, right? I personally chose them all." Lin Key replied, "Fortunately, you are a girl. Otherwise, I would think you are a lecher." She laughed joyfully. At that moment, Lin Key's group was happily swimming in the pool. Xiao Bing said, "Sometimes these girls look really beautiful." Then Secretary Lu entered and said, "Miss Xiao, there is a problem." Xiao Bing asked, "What is it? Why are you so flustered?" Secretary Lu replied, "There is a black car outside. It must belong to you, right?" Lin Key said, "What happened to my car?" At this moment, Secretary Lu spoke. "Earlier, a group of people suddenly arrived, armed, and smashed that car. Our security had a conflict with them, but ended up being defeated." Lin Key looked at Xiao Bing and said, "Let's go change clothes and see what's going on." She immediately replied, "Okay." At that moment, the car was seriously damaged. Its windows were smashed and the trunk was cracked. In front of the crowd, filled with injuries, Lin Key and Xiao Bing stood before them. She spoke up, "Bai and Lai, what are you up to?" Pi and Lai immediately replied, "Oh, isn't that Xiao Bing? What are you doing here? Did you come to eat with a friend?" Xiao Bing retorted, "Don't pretend. Why did you smash my friend's car?" He calmly said, "Your friend's car? Look at what this has caused. We came to teach someone a lesson and accidentally smashed the wrong car. Really sorry about that." Xiao Bing pointed at him and said, "I think you did it on purpose. You better give me an explanation or this matter isn't over." He said, "It's not that serious. It's just a car being smashed. What's the big deal? With our relationship, do we really need to be this tense?" Then he pointed the stick in his hand at Lin Key and continued, "I will think this kid is a good person. This car might have been stolen from somewhere, so smashing it is no big deal." After that, he turned to leave, saying, "Let's go find a place to drink." His followers replied in unison, "All right, boss." Lin Key coldly said, "You smashed my car and now you think you can leave easily?" At that moment, the subordinate turned back to look at Lin Key and said, "Do you think just because you have Sister Bing with you and someone backing you up, you can be so brazen in front of us?" He provocatively said, "Ha, I have a phone here. Let me help you call the police." Then the whole group burst into laughter. Ha. At this point, Lin Key quickly advanced and swung his hand, smashing the phone. At the same time, the phone was now stuck to his face. The phone shattered and fell to the ground. He, bruised and furious, shouted, "You got guts, you dare to hit me?" Then he swung the stick at Lin Key and shouted loudly, "I will kill you." Lin Key kicked the stick out of his hand. The stick broke in two and he was sent flying into the air. After that, he fell to the ground and screamed in pain. "Ah!" At this moment, Bayan Lai spoke up. "I can't believe you're one of us." Lin Key disdainfully said, "Don't flatter yourself. Useless people like you don't deserve to stand in my presence." At this point, Xiao Bing pointed at him and said, "You better back off. I'm warning you, if you dare to take another step, you'll face the consequences." He responded, "Originally, I didn't want to hold you accountable, but he hit Lai Ming. I can't be blamed for this. After all, Lai Ming is one of my followers. I have to help him regain his face." At this moment, Lai Ming was being helped away by another person. Then, Bayan Lai ordered, "Beat him up." At this moment, Lin Key took out a small knife. Then he moved forward and covered a man's mouth. He stabbed the knife into the guy's body, and the henchman fell to the ground. Holding the small knife, he said, "Who's next?" Seeing this, Bayan Lai ordered, "Everyone back off." Then he stepped forward and said, "I really underestimated you. You must have reached level D by now, right?" Lin Key replied, "Smart thinking." As soon as he finished speaking, Bayan Lai swung a stick at him and shouted, "Die." Lin Key easily dodged the attack. He kicked to prepare to kick Bayan Lai. Then he sent the stick flying into his body. Bayan Lai was thrown backward and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Then he fell hard to the ground. Lin Key looked at him and said, "Why you come to pick a fight with me for no reason?" After taking Lin Key's blow, he gasped for air and collapsed. He clutched his stomach and knelt before Lin Key, admitting, "I admit that I am no match for you." Bayan Lai immediately stood up behind him. Several followers still held bats, keeping watch, and pointed at Lin Key, saying, "I can let today's incident go, but you have to ensure you stop bothering Xiao Bing. Otherwise, I won't let you leave here." Lin Key began to observe him closely. It turned out that the name tags they wore said Jinding Security. As soon as he saw the name tag, he understood part of the situation. He said to the group, "I know a bit about your situation. You must be from Jinding Security, right?" He did not hesitate to respond, "That's right, it's our family's company. In terms of strength, my family is not inferior to the Xiao family." While boasting about his background, suddenly a punch flew towards his face. "I have clearly laid out the benefits and consequences. You know what to do. I don't want to say more." Lin Key threw a straight punch at his face, causing him to fall backward. Bayan Lai fell over among his henchmen. Without giving him a chance to calm down, Lin Key grabbed his collar and pulled him closer to his face. Lin Key said with an angry expression, "Say what you just said one more time." But he, having been beaten too much, could only beg, "I was wrong. It was my fault earlier. Let me go." Lin Key let him go, causing him to fall to the ground. Lin Key did not forget to say once more, "If you had said that earlier, wouldn't it have been better? You were beaten for nothing. Come to the hotel to find me tonight. No matter how many people come, I will entertain them." At this moment, Xiao Bing took Lin Key's hand to advise him. "Considering my face, they have already been punished. That's enough. It's not good to make a big deal out of it with so many people around." Lin Key pointed at those people and replied, "Do as you see fit." Bayan Lai was helped up by his subordinates and looked at Xiao Bing. "Xiao Bing, are you satisfied now that I've ended up like this? You guys provoked first. What does it have to do with me?" Bayan Lai, with a grim face, panted heavily while blaming Xiao Bing. "Talking about this now is pointless. Let me tell you, even if your Xiao family is the #1 clan, I don't fear the enmity between our two families. We consider this settled." Xiao Bing was not afraid of this person and pointed at Lin Ke in response. "I'll also tell you, you should feel lucky that he is in a good mood today. Otherwise, whether you can go back or not is still uncertain." Leaving behind the useless crowd that had just been dealt with by Lin Key, Xiao Bing turned and walked with him. "Let's go, brother Bayan. What now?" Upon hearing his junior's question, Bayan Lai immediately ordered a retreat. "We're going back first. Take Lai Ming and the others to the hospital, and I'll handle this." Back at the party, Xiao Bing and Lin Key were raising their glasses in enjoyment. "Brother Lin, find someone to deal with them," Xiao Bing said in her alluring pink swimsuit. Next to Lin Key, they were discussing the group from earlier. "Actually, Bayan Li's uncle is quite formidable. He's nearly reached the sea level, practically has 1 foot in sea," Xiao Bing mentioned. Lin Key sipped his wine while reassuring her, "But there's no need to worry. Just let them come. No need to pay them any special attention. Many girls like this deserve our focus. Why, think about them." Suddenly, Xiao Bing placed her hand on Lin Key's bare chest, startling him. "But this is all my fault. Please help me handle it, team leader. Her face flushed, her eyes sparkling as she intended to use her beauty as leverage. At most, I'll repay you with my body. Lin Key took Xiao Bing's hand and scolded her. Cut it out. I feel like you're trying to take advantage of me. At the hospital, where Bai and Lai was being treated with his juniors, a group of people surrounded him, including his father. His father spoke up and asked the doctor, "Doctor, what is the condition of my son?" The doctor held Bai and Lai's medical record and read. 2 broken ribs, but not serious. A few months of rest will make him fine. The conditions of the other 2 are more serious, but they are not life-threatening. His father, a middle-aged man with green hair like his, angrily asked, "Son, do you remember the face of the person who hit you?" He immediately replied, "Of course. He is at the Kaiyu Hotel. We can find him there right away." Bian Langhai, Bian Li's father, and Bian Li's uncle Qian Liang Jun raised their fists in anger. The girl from the CO family has joined the organization, and the man beside her is highly skilled. They might be a group. An elegant old man, holding a cane that exuded an air of nobility, was Bian Li's grandfather. He is stronger than you, and he is with the girl from the CO family. A person like that surely has a significant background. Client Sang Dong said, "If Bai and Lai's grandfather acts recklessly, it could be disadvantageous for us." As he spoke, he took out his 3-eyed phone and searched for information about Lin Key. "Don't rush. Let me call and check who he is." The phone rang on the desk of a white-haired uncle. Rang, rang, rang. Upon hearing this, the white-haired uncle picked up the phone. Bai and Lai's grandfather then whispered, "Leader, my grandson has been attacked by someone. That person is very strong. I suspect he is from the organization. Have you heard about a person named Lin from Steinhai?" It turned out that was their leader. The uncle leader, upon hearing this, thought to himself, "It seems similar to Lin Key, having such a big heart, which fits Lin Key's style. Or could it be?" After thinking about something, he did not ask further and let them decide for themselves. "I don't know who you are talking about. Just do as you wish. Whether they are from the organization or not is not important. One cannot bully others just because they hold some position." "Then thank you, leader." Upon hearing that the leader had given permission, Cam Siang Dom smiled and relayed to his children and grandchildren. "Our leader said that no matter who the opponent is, we should handle it ourselves." Bian Lai immediately sat up and demanded to go settle the score with Lin Key. "You stay here to recover. We will go over there later." "No, I must go too." He clenched his fist, gritting his teeth, determined to take revenge on Lin Key. "I can use a wheelchair, but if I don't take revenge right away, I won't be able to sleep in peace." Upon hearing this from his grandson, Cham Siang Dong agreed. "Then just stand by and watch. He broke 2 of your ribs, so we will break 2 of his legs."